Hey everyone, this is Hart, and we're back with Dragon Force 2. I'm really glad because I've managed to actually play through some new parts of the game. Before I was working through all footage I'd recorded before, but now that I'd got that out of the way, I could go and actually record some new footage. So I've made some pretty good progress. Hopefully I can get these parts narrated and then I can go and maybe even finish the game. There's maybe about a quarter left. Maybe a little less. About a quarter of the story left. And this is actually the very last castle that we haven't taken over yet. It's owned by the Zeldokians, the Doggle people. I'm not actually really sure why this castle is here. It just kind of exists in the middle of nowhere. But altogether, there's 45 castles for now. Loaded statement. So until you get to the end game, basically, there's 45 castles. So at the moment we have 44 out of 45, and then once I've got this one, then that's literally everyone off the map. So there should be no more threats. We can still go to caves to find new equipment and materials for synthesizing, but other than that, we won't really need to do anything. Wow, that was like the lamest duel ever. I quite like the duels, they're pretty exciting. Considering you can't control the characters, it's actually, I think it's probably more exciting that way. Okay, so what we have left to do is, as I mentioned, there's a small side quest we can do here to recruit a character, which I'll get on and do in just a second. I think I'll just skip ahead a little bit. I have a domestic phase in between now and getting that character. As you can see, we have all the castles now. So I'll just skip through that domestic phase. Okay, here we go. In the south, we need to travel to the village of Fura. After you've spoken to the villager just to the north of here about Kinsera, the Dragonian warrior.
Nanda, 貴様たちは。
うわー、本物だ。やった、伝説の竜族だ。
いかにも我は竜族だが、何の用だ。
もちろん研究材料に。これで本を書くぞ。
一体何を言っているのだお前は。それよりお前たち、我はちょうど退屈していたのだ。誰でもいいからかかってこい。我を倒すほどの者がいれば、そいつの望みを聞いてやろう。
望みを聞く？じゃあ仲間になってくれる？一緒に旅をしましょうよ。
仲間か。それもよかろう。だが、我を倒せればの話だ。
Okay, Shepard gets really excited about meeting a real Dragonian. So this is Kinsera, who's actually the only Dragonman general in this game. He has a cool eye patch as well. I'm pretty sure in Dragon Force 1 there were 2 Dragonman characters you could recruit, whereas there's actually only 1 in this game. And as far as I'm aware, he's the only character that starts with Dragonians as his units. Dragonians are similar to Dragon Force 1, they're actually the strongest character. Strongest troop, I should say. Let me read you Kinsera's biography. Kinsera, actually the only unit, the only troop he can have is Dragonians. His element is fire, his starting level is 15. He's a dragon warrior. He's a 40-year-old male dragon man, and he's actually from Highland. He participated in the Dobulk War. I don't know, that must be between Dragon Force 1 and Dragon Force 2, maybe? And he flew the black flag of the, like, he led the black flag troop of the mercenary group, and for his participation in the Double War, he is respected by all generals in Highland and in Pandaria. Each troop type has certain strengths and weaknesses. Each troop type has an alignment, like light, fire, earth, wood, steel, or darkness. Those are the 5. And then they also have different levels of HP, attack power, movement speed, and then they also have various unique traits, like for example mages have ranged attacks, and then flying units fly. So Dragonians, together with Horned Dogu, which we'll see later, I don't think we've encountered any so far, actually have the highest HP out of any single troop unit. They have 40 HP. Their attack is 25, and their movement speed is 4. And the next strongest unit are the Horned Doggles, and their HP is 40, their attack is also 25, but their movement is 3. So Dragonians are just better than Horned Doggle. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of troops that are effective against Doggle, horned or otherwise, so that can be the hardest part about fighting the Zeldokian generals and the bosses later on in the chapters. Okay, so with him defeated, he now joins us. Okay, here I've cut out quite a large portion of me basically grinding for synthesis materials before I carried on with the next parts of the story. Basically, all that entailed was I used Kincera the Dragonman quite a bit, so giving him enough medals to have 100 troops, giving medals to various other troops, and then going down to the caves a lot. And different caves for different monarchs give different rewards depending on the level you're in. The easiest way to figure out if you want a very specific item is you need to look at a list. I've got it in this guidebook, because it's not like if you go to X cave you'll get X item. It depends on which monarch you are as to what items you can find, which can be a bit complicated.
愚かな人間ども、地上は我々魔族がいただく。
あなたは？
我が名はエスタン。黒の剣士エスタン。
そんな肩書きあったかな。
さあ、かかってこい。我が魔剣で魂を吸い取ってやる。
Okay, and in the Illusion Tower we meet with Estan for the first time. He calls himself the Black Knight, and basically he challenges anyone who's an overworld dweller to he says he'll suck up their soul with his demon sword. So I'm going in here with Sanith, and you might notice she has a new troop type. This is the Chimera. Which are actually one of my favorite troops. They look really cool. In the time that I spent grinding, I also used a lot of scrolls to give different troop types to my monarchs so that they have better troop types and so that you get a chance to see some of the rarer types. And these are the Horned Dogu that I mentioned just a little bit earlier. They're the strongest troop type that the Zeldokians, that the bad guys, can use. So here I'm just using Charm with Sanith to convert some of them to my side, since it's a lot easier than trying to defeat them. And then this is Resurrection. to bring back some of the troops that were defeated. I think Sanith is, because she has a really fast charge. I think Lenny's charge is actually slightly faster, but she has a very fast charge, a lot of MP, and a really great skill set. I think she's probably the strongest monarch on her own. All the monarchs can hold their own quite well in battle, but I think out of all of them, and I'm not just saying this because I like Sanith and Tradnor, but I really think Sanith is probably the strongest unit. Okay, so now that I've gotten rid of all his troops, he has silenced me, so unfortunately I can't spam Water Ball just to drain his HP. So I probably won't be able to get Estan knocked out before we run out of time, but since he has no troops left, it shouldn't be a problem to finish him in a rematch. I was having a really bad day yesterday. Like, do you ever have days where you just feel like really sorry for yourself? Like, for no reason, it's so pathetic. And I was just like feeling really down for no reason. But then I woke up today and I'm totally fine again, so I'm glad I got over myself. I don't know, I was just like, anyway. I'm glad it's over. So now I'm back to being my normal self and being a little bit more cheery. And so I'm back here to do Dragon Force 2 for you, yeah! Okay, so we didn't manage to knock him out, so that brings us to Hikiwake, which is a draw. But since he has no troops left, we shouldn't have a problem finishing him off. I'm gonna go in with Gangus, I think, a different general. Because I've given him a new troop type as well, so you should be able to see his new troops. Okay, so as you can see, I've given Gangus Harpies. Harpies aren't as easily accessible as they were in Dragon Force 1. If you remember Tristan, I think, was it Junon? Queen Junon? She, her nation used Harpies as their basic unit. There's no kingdom that uses Harpies as their default troop this time around, because Tristan has become the mechanical empire. They now use mechanical soldiers, and from there they use mechanical horsemen and mechanical flyers as their default troop type. So there's no longer any nation that always uses Harpies. So they're actually one of the harder troop types to include or to find a scroll for, I find. And then you can use Harpy scrolls to make dragon scrolls, so often I don't bother giving any of my generals Harpies because I want to keep their scrolls to use to synthesize dragon scrolls, because Dragonians are stronger. But I mean, I don't mind using them here just so that you can get a look at them, and they're a pretty cool troop. So we defeated Estan and we captured him as a prisoner of war, but he disappeared somewhere.
ティリス女王、やっとお会いできました。
あの方がティリスさん。これは何？
あの人がティリス？でもこれは一体。
どうやら結界のようです。これでは。
お待ちください。このペンダントを使えば、あるいは私がティリス女王のメッセージを感じた時、このペンダントが反応しました。このペンダントはハイランドに古くから伝わるもの。ティリス女王とハイランド王ウェイン様の婚儀の時、ムーンパレスから贈られたものと聞いています。ティリス女王とは因縁深きペンダント。これを女王の近くに持っていけば、あるいはと思うのです。
じゃあシリンさんお願いします。
はい。
結界が消えましたわ。
意識がないようだ。とりあえずお連れしよう。
In that scene, we found Queen Tiras from 500 years ago from Dragon Force 1. But she was held in the tower, but she's still unconscious, so I decided to take her back to the castle with us.